Guys, awesome news for today continues. Ukraine continues its counterattacks in the Kharkiv region, not just in Lubok, not just in Volchansk, but also towards Lukyantsy. It's a new vector which appeared today, and definitely we have the confirmation that Ukraine sent new reinforcements, and now at some points is able to push Russia back, like it happened for example in Lubok. Both Russian and Ukrainian sources report about the heavy clashes inside Lubok village, which was previously occupied. Ukraine continued to reclaim the lost positions after Russia started its new attack towards the Kharkiv region. Well, for now, Ukraine is not going all in because it's quite limited in resources. Nevertheless, we see the success in small Ukrainian counterattacks. Hello, my friends, and welcome. My name is Dennis, and this is the latest update from Ukraine. And here we go with the latest situation in Volchansk. As you can see, Russia used lots of the aviation bombs as well as Ukraine. Russia still has many of the attack vectors, but at some of the directions they surrender for Ukraine. And the Ukrainian army is definitely successful out there, not letting the Russian armored vehicles into Volchansk city. That's why they're basically losing. To get more ground, Russia need to send tanks and armored vehicles. It was impossible for them to do it 1 month ago, and it is impossible for them right now. But the Russian occupiers who are trapped in the factory of Volchansk, the situation for them is without any changes. Ukraine just cut the drone supplies for them, and Russia also bombed their positions. They hit their own position over here, they hit the factory with their own aviation gliding bomb and Ukrainian positions. Basically, they don't care, they launch those bombs elsewhere. Also sometimes even touching their own cities on the Russian territory, for example, Shebekino. And this is the latest image from Volchansk, so Ukraine strikes Russian positions in the city, and later on our infantry takes those quarters. JDAMs are very effective, but also Ukraine is working to produce their own gliding bombs, as for example Russia did with their usual bombs. My friends, if you like the job that I do on YouTube daily, you may also consider supporting me on Patreon page, which is available with my personal link in the video description just below, or you may just scan the QR code available on the screen. Thank you so much for your awesome support. You really help me to produce the videos. Right, for the first time, Ukraine was able to trophy the Russian Hangar tank, or turtle tank you may call it. The Ukrainian soldiers from the 22nd Separate Motorized Rifle Brigade were able to do it. Basically, it was the trap for the Russian soldiers. Moreover, they even captured the Russian crew of the tank. And here goes with the Ukrainian flag on the top. Ukrainian soldiers are just happy about this trophy, and I think it is the Russian T-62, quite an old tank, but in a new armor. And we have some of the details coming of how our guys were able to capture this tank. Basically, it was stopped with a drone drop. Later on, it went to the bushes, and our guys captured everyone on board and the tank itself. To the other parts of the front lines, it's been confirmed that Ukraine has liberated the vast part of the Serblansky forest. Russians definitely left their positions. I think that Russians will continue to lose this forest because from the information we have, they sent the reinforcements from this area to the eastern part of Ukraine because that direction is more profitable for them. Alright, it is happening once again. One more useless attack of the Russian army. Midwave, straight following the road to Vuhledar. Russia already lost in Vuhledar, I think, around 300 of the vehicles at least, and thousands of soldiers. They're trying to get this small settlement under control for already 1.5 years. Definitely they're very close to it, but all of their attempts are just useless. No matter how many forces they send, they're all kaboomed. Oh, sorry, I was wrong. They send their forces not through the road, but straight across the field. At least 4 of the units, tanks and armored vehicles. There was MTLB, BMP, tank, and everything of that was stopped. Guys, tell me, what is in the head of the Russian military commanders, and what's the motivation of the Russian soldiers to go attacking Ukrainian positions, for example, in Vuhledar, in a very defended place? They already know 100% that there were tons of those attacks, and their attack is no change in tactics. No backup from aviation is possible because Ukraine controls this part of the sky. I mean, the situation for them is even worse as for kamikaze. For kamikaze, at least they understand that they might hit the target and the probability of it is quite high. But here I think 100% that the attack will be a total failure. They will never reach Ukrainian positions with that amount of the forces, but even if they had sent many of the forces, Ukraine still has lots of the tools in Vuhledar to cut absolutely everything. Russia doesn't have those resources to occupy Vuhledar, well, at least for now. And here probably you can see it's the tank from the previous Russian attack, and there are many tanks like that are lying around the fields, so it's a global cemetery for the Russian armed forces. I'm sure that the Western official military analytics and their generals analyzed the action of the Russian military command and their army, taking the Ukrainian experience into account. So if someday Russia decides to attack NATO countries, I think that the destiny for Russia is not very bright. Honestly, being a Russian soldier, I would just surrender to Ukraine or surrender to the Russian prison, because it's still better than to burn in the field. Russians also try to move their forces during the night time, but Ukraine now has the drones with the thermal cameras, so our guys see everything also during the night time. By the way, this Russian vehicle also was hit during the night time. Ukraine is using drones a lot, and our guys were able to capture this Russian journal where they write all of the Ukrainian attacks during the day. So just for a single day, on 13th of June 2024, so it's the recent paper, there were that many drops in Robotyne alone, drops from the drones, and here are the kamikaze strikes on the Russian position. So just imagine this amount of the fire. Every 10 or sometimes 5 minutes, Russia gets the strike from the drone, only in Robotyne. Right now, let's go to not so good news. Russia is very fast constructing a new railroad from Rostov-on-Don directly to Crimea. This connection is the alternate way for the Russia to supply their forces on the southern part of Ukraine, also in Donetsk Oblast and obviously in Crimea. Well, still the road is under construction, but there are the signs that they might launch the road this year. Before it was the Russians' plan for 2025, so Ukraine should expedite the decision to strike the Kerch Bridge connection. Otherwise, Russia will have their turn that way. Guys, probably you remember the A-50 Russian AVAX airplane that was shot down in the Russian airspace. Well, today Russia accused the commander of the air defense system who gave the order to shut down this airplane. They came to this outcome after the internal investigation. The airplane never left the Russian airspace that day, but nevertheless, commander decided to shut it down. Good decision. At the same time, we have the information from the Western sources that the Ukraine used Patriot system to shut down this airplane. Well, who knows, maybe the commander of the Russian air defense was a Patriot indeed, but not of Russia. Right, just now I have received the news that Ukrainian UAVs are flying to Crimea and also to the nearby Russian territory. The Kerch Bridge is closed because of the air sirens. Russians report about their air defense operation. Well, we'll see tomorrow morning how it goes, because the news are really fresh. One of the main Ukrainian security officials, Alexander Litvinenko, who is the head of the National Security Office of Ukraine, told in his interview to The Times that Putin could use nuclear weapon if Russia faces the catastrophic defeat in Ukraine. At the same time, most of the military analytics say that Putin will not do it in a close-by perspective. However, yes, Russia is in a clear state. They have most of the nukes, even more compared to the United States of America. And I guess that Putin has already thought about using nukes. Well, obviously there will be no direct response on Russia by West using their nukes, but our allies might send their forces directly to Ukraine to eliminate the Russian army on Ukrainian territory in that case. At least there were some of the leaks from the Western intelligence services that they might do it. At the same time, Stoltenberg insists that NATO should show its nuclear arsenal to the world and start worrying about the threat from China. And also from Russia. By the way, China has the plan to increase its nuclear arsenal by 2 times in a couple of years. Russia continued to lose their reporters on the front lines. For them, it's getting scary. This time, the vehicle of the Russian propaganda journalist was targeted by the Ukrainian FPV drone. It happened at the territory of the self-proclaimed Republic DPR. For this reason, the other Russian propaganda journalists start to hug the anti-drone systems or the electronic warfare. Russia sent them close to the front lines to film interesting stuff, but now they're damn scared. The great news from the European Union. A few months ago, the help for Ukraine was voted by EU members. We're speaking about 50 billion euros. It's quite a lot. So today, the European Union came out with initiative and they will create a special investigative commission and inspection to see where those funds are going in Ukraine. A great decision by the European Commission, and first of all, it's a Ukrainian interest in that inspection because funds should go to the proper places to support our army and our people, not Ukrainian officials. Today, Putin dismissed many of the deputies of the Russian defense minister. All of those people are now fired. Putin continued to reform the Russian military command, but for now it seems like it doesn't solve the Russian problems with logistics, communication and other stuff. The system itself is not good, which is on the other hand good for Ukraine. A new maintenance facility was opened on Ukrainian territory by the German Rheinmetall military production company. So now it is not necessary to transport damaged mortars or Leopards to Poland or Germany. Some of the maintenance job could be done in Ukraine. About the Leopards, I think it applies only for the Leopard 1. Leopard 2 tanks should be still sent to the main factories of the European Union. Nevertheless, it's still a good step forward, because the fast maintenance is crucial, it's very important. Some of the Russian officials commented on the outcome of the peace summit on Ukraine which happened in Switzerland. While Peskov said that it was useless, at the same time Russia was definitely scared about the summit. Right before it, Putin came out with his own peace initiatives, so clearly they wanted to move the focus from the summit. And alcoholic Medvedev said that because new sanctions are applied on Russia, they are unfriendly. Russia would make a bill and send it to the European Union countries and to the United States for the compensation. I think that Medvedev is the most cringy person in the Russian politics. By the way, he's just a classical bureaucrat, he's not from FSB or something, but he wants to behave very harsh, at least in his Telegram and Twitter account. Maybe as one of the possibilities, he behaves like that to avoid being beaten by the FSB sharks, which with he is surrounded. He screams, "I'm your guy, you see, how can I talk?" The other variant is that Medvedev is definitely on the bottle, very hard on it. You probably know that Russia sent some of the submarine to Cuba. Well, here we have the photo of this particular submarine, which is called Kazan, and we see that something is wrong with the skin of the submarine. Yeah, definitely something is not right. Well, after all, those are not the force elements of the construction of the submarine, but the parts of the layer which is used to absorb the acoustic signal is missing. And it is just a tiny part of the submarine which we are able to see. Russians, you need to do some maintenance, otherwise you will have a second Kursk. Some part of the Russian society again calls Putin to strike Washington and other cities in the United States of America. I'll not play audio because it's very loud. What this guy says that we should aim those cities. On Washington, and they constructed a new missile which says on Washington. Yeah, every screenshot of this guy is just hilarious. What did they do with Lada? They crossed the symbol of Lada and put the Z symbol. Here they put the Putin's portrait and write the sovereignty of Russia. Where's the logic? Why did they cross the symbol of Lada? They should destroy Lada if they don't like it. It's too funny, and at the same time it's kind of sad because I know that there are some of the supporters of that kind of the movement also on the West. For them, Putin is some sort of the liberator, but actually he is a real enemy for the United States, for example. Guys, if we check out the recent military map update on the East, it's not really good for Ukraine because Russia still keeps initiative in this sector and they send more of the reinforcements. So for now, Ukraine is unable to stop them. Russia is gaining more ground each day. They do it slowly compared to what it was before, but at the same time effectively. So for Ukraine, the Ocherет in a direction which is very close to Avdiivka is the hottest spot from everywhere on the front lines. There Russia is able to expand their bridgehead. So for example, it was yesterday and it's today they moved towards Sokil, and they also went northbound from Arkhangelsk village. Near Novoselica, Persia, Ukraine performed a counterattack, kiting Russian forces out, but today they sent new reinforcements taking the spar of the field, so again yesterday and today. Nevertheless, the way out for Ukrainian group in this area is more or less free. The main thing for Ukraine is to stop the Russian advancement towards this very important road, but Russia has the assault vector directly towards the place, but maybe Russia will not be able to reach this very important road. First of all, because of the natural obstacle, the river, and lots of the settlements, which are basically the defense line for Ukrainian army, quite a robust one. And soon the main part of the military help is coming to Ukraine the next month, so probably Russia will not move to the place. Germans decided to combine the Leopard tank with their air defense system. Could be a good solution, especially for the crew protection, because Russian drones might fly for a very long distance, especially Lancet drones. Putin is up to visit his close ally North Korea. It's gonna happen tomorrow. Putin decided to build a new economical alliance with alternate states to the West. We're looking to implement new mechanisms in economy with our friendly states. Probably the best trade for Russia was the exchange of food for the artillery shells. Dictators are getting closer, and China is also in a club. More about Putin's ceasefire proposal, the Russian FSB chief Naryshkin said that if Ukraine isn't agree with that, in the future the proposal will be more dramatic for Ukraine. Well, I wonder what it would be, because the current proposal is definitely unreal. Russia is struggling getting the ground in Ukraine. The fights are ongoing for the small villages or the fields or the tree lines. Russia is basically unable to occupy Zaporizhia Oblast, Donetsk Oblast and Kherson Oblast. It's not possible. Otherwise, they wouldn't propose those peace agreements, as they call them, but basically it's just a capitulation of Ukraine, because they included lots of the stuff in that proposal, which is absolutely no-go. We already discussed this issue in our previous videos. And now, my friends, please don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot, and I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.